welcome to Arest Television News. Welcome to the news at this hour. I am Ndlea Acquire. First, the headlines. NIMET forecast 3 days sunshine, thunderstorm across Nigeria. Suspected gunmen kill 1 police officer, 8 others in fresh plateau attacks. Ndlea arrests 3 persons with disability for drug trafficking. Now the news in detail. The Central Bank of Nigeria has urged state governments to reduce their reliance on overdrafts and short-term borrowing, warning that reckless fiscal behavior at the subnational level would undermine the country's transition to an inflation-targeting monetary policy framework. This was contained in a press statement issued by the CBN on Sunday, following an engagement with subnational stakeholders facilitated through the Nigeria's Governors Forum Secretariat in Abuja. According to the statement, the Deputy Governor in charge of the Economic Policy Directorate, Dr. Mohammed Abdullahi, said state governments must adopt stricter fiscal discipline to support price stability and macroeconomic reforms. Abdullahi described the transition to inflation targeting as a shift towards a more transparent, rule-based and forward-looking monetary framework that requires close collaboration between the central bank and state authorities. According to him, while the CBN remains responsible for monetary policy decisions aimed at controlling inflation, fiscal actions by state governments also significantly influence inflation outcomes in federal states like Nigeria. The Federal Executive Council has approved 3 strategic public-private partnership projects aimed at strengthening Nigeria's infrastructure base and stimulating economic growth across critical sectors. This was contained in a statement issued by Acting Head of Media and Publicity of the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, Ifeanyi Owoko, in Abuja. The statement said the prospects include the development of a smart national transport data park under the Nigerian Institute of Transport Technology. It added that the other projects are independent power projects at the One Port Complex and the Apapa Port Complex. According to the statement, the approvals followed regulatory oversight by the ICRC. It said the Commission reviewed the outline business case, conducted due diligence and negotiations, and certified the full business case in line with its regulatory framework before presentation to FEC. The statement quoted the Director General of the ICRC, Dr. Jobson Ewalefo, saying the approvals represent a deliberate shift towards well-structured PPPs that unlock private capital and deliver measurable economic impact. Ewalefo said the Smart National Transport Data Bank would address long-standing challenges associated with inadequate transport data in the country. No fewer than 9 persons, including a police officer, were killed, while several others sustained injuries, and 5 residents, including women and children, were abducted in fresh attacks by gunmen in parts of Plateau State. The coordinated assaults, which occurred in Kanam and Barkin Ladi local government areas between Saturday night and the early hours of Sunday, threw several communities into panic as residents fled their homes amid sporadic gunfire.
In Kanam local government area, gunmen invaded Furyan Takzu community in Kantana ward at about 12:05 a.m. on Sunday, killing 2 persons and abducting 5 others. Residents say the attackers stormed the community in large numbers and opened fire indiscriminately, forcing villagers to flee for safety before whiskling away the abducted victims to an unknown destination. Confirming the incident, the youth leader of Furyan Takzu, Haruna Khalid, said the attack left the community traumatized and heightened fears of further assaults. He called on security agencies to intensify efforts towards restoring the adopted victims. He called on security agencies to intensify efforts towards rescuing the adopted victims and strengthening surveillance across vulnerable communities in Kanam. In a separate attack in Barkin Ladi local government area of Plateau State, at least 7 persons, including a police officer, were killed on Saturday night while the gunmen reportedly attacked several communities simultaneously. Residents say the attackers unleashed terror on the Sabunlayi, Raktum, Gangari, Zat, Bet and areas around the General Hospital axis, despite the heavy presence of security checkpoints in the area. 6 other persons were said to have sustained injuries, while the bodies of the deceased were recovered and deposited in a mortuary. The Birom Youth Molders Association, led by barrister Dalib Solomon Mwantiri, confirmed the killings and expressed outrage over what he described as repeated security failures in the area. The association disclosed that the slain police officer was caught in the attack while on duty in one of the affected communities. Speaking on the incident, the officer's son, Nehemiah, said he was with his father shortly before the attack. The youth group criticized security operatives for failing to respond swiftly to coordinated attacks and passed a vote of no confidence on the Sector 4 commander of Operation Enduring Peace and Unit O operations. It also faulted the Plateau State government for what it termed inadequate response to the worsening insecurity and humanitarian crisis in the state, calling for the establishment of Ministry of Homeland Security and Humanitarian Services. As at the time of filing this report, the police and military authorities are yet to officially comment on the incidences. Mania Usibi, Arest Television News.
Nigerian police force has arrested and repatriated a Chinese national, Zhou Zing, to the People's Republic of China over his alleged involvement in a $245 million Ponzi scheme scam.
The operation was carried out by the Interpol National Central Bureau Abuja, following a formal request from Chinese authorities, which had declared the suspect wanted in Beijing for large-scale financial fraud involving illegal assumption of public deposits. Police investigations revealed that Zhu fled China to Nigeria on November 5, 2024, in a bid to evade arrest. A warrant for his arrest was subsequently issued on November 12, 2025 by the Shinan Sub-Bureau of Guangdong Public Security. He was later repatriated to China on April 28, 2026 under bilateral policing arrangements to face prosecution for alleged offenses. The Inspector General of Police, Olatunji Disu, has reaffirmed the force's commitment to strengthening international collaboration in tackling transnational organized crimes. He also advised Nigerian employers and business entities to conduct thorough due diligence, including police background checks, before engaging foreign nationals in businesses or employment relationships. The Nigerian police force reiterates it remains resolute in preventing Nigeria from becoming a safe haven for fugitives and will continue to intensify efforts against cross-border criminal activities. Mania OCAB, Arest Television News.
The Nigerian Armed Forces says it has intensified efforts across the country with offensives against armed groups, recording major gains in Niger and Kogi states, while firmly denying allegations that civilians were killed during recent area bombings in Shiro local government area of Niger State. The Defense Headquarters said air interdiction operations carried out by the Nigerian Army UAV Command between late Saturday and early Sunday targeted identified bandit enclaves in Katama, Boko, Kosaso and Kodoro villages, following intelligence reports of a large gathering of armed bandits at Lukupe village. Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Michael Onoja, disclosed that about 70 bandits were killed in Kasusu alone, while surviving fighters were seen evacuating corpses for burial. According to the military, over 200 armed bandits mounted on motorcycles had also been sighted moving towards Zanko, with another group reportedly converging near Kopa and Mogoro, allegedly plotting attacks on nearby communities and security formations between the strikes disrupted their movements. The defense headquarters dismissed viral reports alleging civilian casualties in the operation, insisting that the strikes were precise on target and based on credible intelligence, confirming terrorist presence in the affected locations. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, has predicted sunshine and thunderstorms beginning from Wednesday to Friday across the country. NIMET's weather outlook released on Tuesday in Abuja envisaged sunny skies over the northern region during the morning periods on Wednesday. According to the agency, there are prospects of isolated thunderstorms over parts of Taraba and Adamawa later in the day. It anticipated thunderstorms with moderate rains over parts of Ondo, Osun, Oyo, Lagos, Ekiti, Ogun, Imo, Abia, Ebonyi, Enugu, Anambra, Edo, Bayelsa, Delta, Rivers, Cross River, and Akwa Ibom later in the day. NIMET predicted sunny skies in the northern region on Thursday, with prospects of isolated thunderstorms and light rain over parts of Taraba State during the morning period. Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities and Non-Academic Staff Union of Education and Association and associated institutions have reaffirmed the suspension of the indefinite nationwide strike scheduled to commence on May 11th. SSANU President Mohammed Ibrahim disclosed this in an interview in Abuja. Ibrahim said the two unions had given a 2-week deadline for the conclusion and signing of agreements with the federal government. Recalling that the Joint Action Committee of SSANU and NASU had on May 1st directed members to embark on an indefinite nationwide strike. The unions, however, agreed to suspend the strike following appeals and assurances from the federal government, expanded tertiary institutions renegotiation committee. He added that the committee had assured the unions that the process would be completed within the period. According to him, the suspension is based on firm commitment from the government. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency said it has arrested 3 persons with disability for drug trafficking during interdiction operations in parts of Anambra and Kwara states. This was contained in a statement by Director, Media and Advocacy, Ndlea Femi Babafemi on Sunday in Abuja. Babafemi said that based on credible intelligence, one of the suspects was on May 6 traced to Akpakpa Forest, Onitsha, where he was found with 250 grams of skunk in retail sachets. He said that in a different raid at Obunike area of the state, Ndlea officers on May 7th arrested another PWD with 160.3 grams of tramadol, 225 mg and 100 mg. He said that 80 suspected diazepam pills of diazepam 38, 23 grams of suspected XO5, and 176.93 grams of suspected skunk were also recovered during the operation. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian held a phone call with Iraq Prime Minister designate Ali al-Zaidi, during which Pezeshkian said Iran is ready for dialogue within the framework of international law. Pezeshkian said the United States is pursuing a policy of maximum pressure against the country, the other hand expecting Iran to come to the negotiating table. Iran has surrendered to its unilateral demands. Such an equation is impossible. Noting that Iran fundamentally does not consider war and insecurity to be favorable options but would not acquiesce to force. Pezeshkian also stressed that Iran must not deprive itself of nuclear technology, saying the United States speaks in a way as if Iran must not have a nuclear industry, and impose extra pressure on the country by putting forward excessive demands. He added that in all previous negotiations, Iran was fully ready to provide within the framework of international regulations and global monitoring, whatever deemed necessary under international norms to ensure the peaceful nature of its nuclear activities. On his part, al-Zaidi said Iraq is ready to mediate between Iran and the United States in order to contain regional crisis. Pope Leo XVI received players, coaches and directors of Inter Milan at the Vatican following the club's victory in the 2025-2026 Italian League Championship, praising the team's achievements while urging them to reflect on their influence on young people. In a post obtained from the Vatican's X handle on Sunday, addressing the players and club officials, the Pope congratulated the team on its success but emphasized that sporting victories carry responsibilities beyond the football pitch. Noting that millions of children and teenagers view professional footballers as role models and often imitate their attitudes and behavior, he also warned against excessive individualism in modern sports, encouraging players to remember the collective effort behind every championship victory. The Pope also offered prayers for young athletes around the world who look to sport as a source of hope and inspiration. The atmosphere turned lighter near the end of the audience where Pope Leo joked about the emotional strain football places on supporters, drawing laughter from players and club executives alike. Inter Milan's visit continues as long-standing tradition of championship-winning teams meeting with pontiffs at the Vatican following major sporting achievements. And that's the news at this hour. Please follow us on all our social media handles for more news updates. On behalf of the news crew, I am Ndlea.